Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Between Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto, who is a political genius, who is more cunning than the other, because these are two different politicians who have worked together and they have mastered the art of Kenyan politics. When Raila Amolo Odinga signed a deal between himself and William Samoei Ruto and they started working together, questions were raised. And people have been asking, is this a honest handshake? Because if you compare the handshake between William Ruto and Raila and that one of Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta, you will realize that there are certain differences. But who between the two is a political genius? I'm asking this because William Ruto is a politician. Apart from the fact that he's a president, he's a politician. Raila Amolo Odinga is a politician. So when they got into this agreement, sources say that William Ruto had got some ulterior motives to ensure that he cripples ODM. Because he knows very well that a strong ODM is not good for him even as he heads to 2027. You all know that William Ruto always wants to be a kingpin in every region. That is why they clashed with Rigathi Gachagua. Raila Amolo Odinga, it is also being rumored that he wants to crush UDA the way he crushed KANU in the year 2022. So of late, we've seen voices from ODM breathing and blowing hot and cold. Orengo and Sifuna saying that they are not going to be muzzled just because some few people have been appointed to work in government. The latest shocker was that of the party leader, the temporary party leader, Anyang' Nyong'o, who also accused William Ruto of being the first saboteur of devolution. And when the partners of William Ruto, the very henchmen and the allies, people like Cherargei, listened to Nyong'o, they questioned the honesty of Raila Amolo Odinga in this deal because they are saying Raila must tame his dogs. And Cherargei actually confronted Raila that you need to speak up because we have given you ministerial positions and there we some positions that you've not held since independence. And he challenged Raila to tame and take a stand on this because according to them, William Ruto is above the constitution. He should not be questioned. Raila never wasted any moment. He answered them. And if you've studied the politics of Nyanza and the politics of ODM and Raila Amolo Odinga, you will realize that whenever there is a touching issue, whenever there is a crisis in Nyanza or in ODM and Raila wants to respond to someone, or when he wants to make a serious appeal, when he wants to make a declaration and a very serious pronouncement of the four counties, that is Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, and Siaya, Raila will choose Homa Bay. And I don't know why. And I'll give you an example. When Raila was about to go for the mock swearing in, where he became the people's president, he went to Homa Bay and he told them of a story of a time when there was a crisis in a certain region, and there was an old granny who said that for this crisis to end, I'm going to sacrifice my life. And as people were crying and saying, why should you do this? The old granny was going there because she wanted to rescue that region. And Raila told them that just like that one granny, he was going to take that to be sworn in. And if, because they had, I remember the then Attorney General had told Raila that that was going to be an exercise of high treason. So Raila said, I'm going to rescue my nation. If they want to kill me, just like that granny who went there and she was crushed, I'm going to rescue the nation. Raila said that in Homa Bay. The people who have been trying to criticize or James Orengo, some of them come from Homa Bay. And the people leading that chorus are Upondo Kaluma, who is the Homa Bay town member of parliament, and even Wanga, and of course, Atandi. So Raila, in the presence of all this praise and worship team, those who believe that William Ruto is untouchable, William Ruto should not be questioned, told them to stop attacking Orengo, Nyong'o, and Sifuna. And he told them that the ODM party, that represents democracy, and therefore they are free to speak their mind. And Raila made it very clear. And if you listen to the tone, most of you have seen this video, you will realize that Raila was serious. He was looking vexed, meaning that he's not very happy about what has been happening.
Demokrasia kila mtu akuna haki ya kuongea. Sama ya ODM tuliamua ya kwamba sisi tutakuwa na uhusiano. Lakini kukuwa na uhusiano sio kusema ya kwamba sisi yote tumeingia kwa serikali. We are running what is called a presidential system of government. We don't have opposition benches and government benches. We have what is called parliament as an institution. Parliament oversight the government. The executive implements policies. Parliament passes laws, and the executive uses those laws to govern the country. And then the judiciary, which interprets the laws. So there's really no collusion between ODM, no collusion between ODM and UDA. But it is an arrangement which is based on an MOU which was signed between us, and it was on open daylight. And there are very clear points in that MOU, 6 or 10 of them. And they are very explicit indeed. That's the reason why I don't see why people are bickering. When Mr. James Orengo talks, he's talking on the basis of an MOU between ODM and UDA. Orengo has not committed any crime. He has got a democratic right to say what you're saying. When Professor Nyong'o speaks about devolution, he is talking the language of ODM. And I said it when we were in Siaya. That devolution was the most important feature of this new constitution. Ugatuzi ni muhimu zaidi katika katiba hii ambayo tulitoa Bomas. Ugatuzi. Lakini ugatuzi hajafanya kazi kwa sababu hatujatekeleza kulingana na sheria ambayo iko ndani ya katiba. Devolution has not been implemented the way it should be implemented. That's why the people are not reaping the benefits of devolution.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those who have been trying to understand the handshake between Raila Amolo Odinga and William Ruto, you will understand because credible sources say that William Ruto had started infiltrating, the ODM through people like Sam Atandi, people like the Minister for Energy, Opiyo Wandai. Why? By the virtue that Opiyo Wandai is a minister, he reports directly to his boss, who is William Samoei Ruto, and there are instructions that he can take. Samuel Atandi is now the chair of the Budget and Appropriation Committee. By virtue of that committee being the chair, that very committee is a very prestigious committee. So he can take instructions directly from William Ruto. So it was very easy for William Ruto to give instructions. Go and attack Orengo. And some people say that Raila is also very cunning. When he gave these people their roles in the cabinet, he knew why he was doing that. And if you remember the genesis of Raila giving these very particular people, that is Oparanya, Nyong'o, Opiyo Wandai, and Mbadi. These are people who had started bickering in the ODM. They wanted to take over the party when they realized that Raila was going for the AU seat. And so there was even a fierce altercation between the Joho camp and Oparanya camp. So what Raila did, Raila decided to remove them and give them roles in the cabinet so that they forgot all this fight in the ODM. So when they went there, you've realized that there is a lot of ego. So Raila wanted to end these direct orders that William Ruto is giving, because I understand that William Ruto is keen on taking Nyanza. And if there is one thing that William Ruto always wants, he wants to get to a region without passing through any person. And so he had started infiltrating through certain people. Raila wanted to end that. There was also this argument by the ODM rebels. Remember, those who first went to State House, people like Elisha of Game, Gideon Ochanda of Uriri, Jalango, all those members of parliament, they were now bragging that, we came here and ODM wanted to punish us. Now Raila has come and is fully in this government. And that did not go down well with Raila Amolo Odinga. He wanted to show them that we are not in this government. Going into this government has really cost Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila has carried the burden of every rot in the Kenya Kwanza government, just like he carried during the government of Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember when Pope died, you remember all the caricatures that were being created of Raila going to try his hand if he can become the next Pope. And Gen Zs really, if you ask me, they have labeled Raila as their number one enemy. And Raila realized that I'm carrying this burden for no reason. And I think Raila Amolo Odinga is laying an exit strategy. If there is one thing that William Ruto will regret, is signing that MOU. Because in that MOU, there was a 10-point agenda: stop abductions, you must support devolution. There was some money that was to go to the county level. There were a lot of things that were talked about. That will be the basis of Raila's outburst. Because Raila will say and claim that we signed this, but you're not respecting, you're not obeying our MOU. Because that MOU was touching at the heart of Kenyans. Raila spoke about things like the cost of living, stopping abductions, supporting devolution, but William Ruto seems not to be very keen. According to William Ruto, I think this was just a piece of paper. They were meant to hoodwink Kenyans. But Raila is realizing that he's losing popularity as a result of this, and therefore he wants to exit. He doesn't want to carry this burden anymore. Raila also realized that, courtesy of their relationship with William Ruto has gone back to factory settings, campaigns, promises, hoodwinking Kenyans. And if there is one thing, ask anyone who's close to Raila Amolo Odinga. If there is one thing that is very close to Raila's heart, it is devolution. When you have a minute talk with Raila Amolo Odinga, he will tell you that one of his very friends, Odhiambo Mbai, was killed because of his stand and position about the devolution. There were forces that wanted resources to be accumulated at the center, at the national level, and they never wanted these resources to trickle down. And for a very long time, we lived in a system where you have to go and beg the president. It is happening now, but at least it is controlled. It was made automatic when we passed the new constitution, because now we have a two-tier government, the national and the county government. And the national government has been compelled to release certain amount of money, a certain percentage, to the county level, so that you don't need to beg so much. Maybe if you want an additional one, you can go and beg, but the county level has got a certain amount that they have a right to. But William Ruto seems to be joking around with devolution. That is why Raila is saying that things like health is not fully devolved, because the national government is still holding a huge amount of money at the national level. And they are so much concerned about the revenue or the money that is the road maintenance fund. the national government is still holding this fund, so that when William Ruto goes for a tour, they will call it a development tour, and they will be shouting that hii barabara hii bara nimekupatia milioni moja, and people like Orengo, Nyong'o, and Raila do not want this, because the basis and the purpose of devolution was to compel the national government to release certain functions to the county government. But William Ruto still wants to usurp some powers that is not really meant for him. And this has angered Raila Amolo Odinga. Play with devolution and you will understand that Raila doesn't mince words when it comes to devolution, and he wanted to make his position very clear. Raila Amolo Odinga is also very worried that politics of the country is taking shape. Rigathi is supposed to launch his party. Gen Zs are already lining up with either Maraga or Rigathi, because Rigathi is speaking the language of the people, just like Raila used to speak the language of the people. And Raila is giving a clear sign to the opposition that I'm still there. We can negotiate. Yes, I'm still available. Because many people had said that Raila has been swallowed. Raila sasa ni mwosho moja, yeye ndiye anaosha watu wakiwa corrupt. William Ruto is now taking loans and Raila is not talking about it. He talked about Atandi deal. Raila is still telling the Gen Zs, I'm still here for you. Raila is telling the opposition, I'm still there, we can talk. So he's telling them, hold your horses. And when the Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang said that ODM will sponsor presidential candidate, I think William Ruto must take this very serious, because they mean it. Raila has ended the political bickering in ODM. Raila has stopped the supremacy battle. You know, between a governor and a CS minister, who is more superior to the other? Because this is what has been happening. There are people who had started becoming bigger than the party, and they don't realize that there is only one party leader. And Raila wanted to bring order and sanity in this party, because there's a lot of noise. There are people who now feel that they can talk anyhow. There are people who now feel that they can wake up and attack those who are speaking, answering to William Ruto. And Raila is telling them there is only one party leader here, who is Raila Amolo Odinga. And this is a clear instruction to people like Mbadi and Atandi. Ukienda pale, fanya kazi yako. And those who have been saying that, Sifuna atafukuzwa, Orengo nini. Orengo and Raila have come from far. They fought for the second liberation. People like Sam Atandi and these other people are talking. Wameanzana juzi tu hapa. So Raila is making it clear. I don't know whether Gen Zs will understand him, but Raila is basically laying a foundation to walk away, and is telling the opposition we can still work together. Because if Raila is going to contest as a president, then you know that he must look for a running mate. And Raila is poised to joining hands with the Wamunyoro team. The ministers from Luoland have been given a clear instruction now. They know their limits. And people like Atandi have been given an order, they know their limits. And that statement is going to open a Pandora's box. The very choir masters, the choir team from Ruto side, will start bashing Raila, and they will start attacking Raila. The moment they get into this trap and they start quarreling or they start attacking Raila, that will be the end. Because it will attract a counter reaction from the ODM side. From where I sit, I don't know how people like Sam Atandi, Opondo Kaluma, Robert Alai, I don't know what they are thinking, because Raila has silenced them.